On today's show, we're discussing the possibility of a Mandalorian movie. And then on top of that, the most anticipated holiday films. We've got the exclusive on that from Fandango. And then a whole bunch of trailers. On today's show, we're going to discuss them all on Movie Talk. Hi. Oh, hey. We're live. We're going to talk about movies. And I'm going to get to talk about movies today with Collider.com's Vinnie Mancuso and Fandango's Nikki, Novak. Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys doing?
You can tell I'm already in the holiday
I
mode.
haven't seen the second you walked into the office, I'm like, yes, you know
I
what time of year
I
it
went
is.
this drab gray shirt, and I was like, "Look at this! This is so festive." And I
And
look like a troll. I am the Cole of this movie
No, you're
talk.
the Phantom of the Opera of the.
I am. We've
Yes.
decided that I'm the Phantom of the Opera of Collider's offices because I sort of just lurk in the background all the time.
Yeah.
People are like, "Is that guy actually work here?" Except I can't sing.
Because I walked in, you like we've never met. I said no, we have.
I've seen your face.
Wait, we discussed this a little bit
lurking.
yesterday. So you've never been in like a high school production of a musical or something like that?
I was not in a high school production or anything. I was in an 8th grade production of High School Musical. I played Troy Bolton.
You told me this at D23. I can't believe I've forgotten already.
I made one stage appearance my entire life. I retired on top. I was lead. I didn't think my performance was too good because I didn't have the experience of a high schooler to be in High School Musical. I think that suffered a little bit because of it.
So Nikki, I have a pitch for you. Let's say we hosted a Collider home video like film festival where everybody unearthed their old embarrassing stuff. Would you
Oh
come
my
and you watch
gosh.
it all?
I don't like
Yes,
this.
you
thing.
would.
I don't
Oh,
love
totally.
it.
I have my own too. I've made some bad stuff before.
Like what? Now I'm curious.
Oh my gosh. Well, I did go to acting class in New York, and speaking of Phantom of the Opera, we had to take a musical theater class as an option, and I thought everybody in my class was going to be just beginners like me, like I'd never sang publicly, and everybody in there was like off Broadway, and we had to sing every 3 classes, so I waited to the very last minute, and I blew out my vocal cords warming up because I was so nervous, and I sang Phantom of the Opera. Why you choose Phantom of the Opera when
that's a
you're
tough
not
one.
a singer?
That's a tough
so I
one.
am not the Phantom of the Opera of anything.
I can't
But
sing
yeah.
like that. I feel like we should stop discussing this until someone asks us on the chat. They're like, "Oh yeah, you guys could sing? Do it for us," because I can't.
I can't sing for the life of me. So my video would just be like a really kind of like dark, fuzzy video. And we'd have to do a little highlight bubble of me playing saxophone in the pit orchestra.
Oh, there you go.
That's about as much as I can offer up, though.
bad.
And I knew I couldn't sing and I was never going to try.
Unfortunately, there was only one copy of the High School Musical that I was in, and it mysteriously disappeared somewhere around my sophomore year of high school.
What'd you do to it?
I don't. The case was never solved. We never found the video.
This
So the
could
video
be a
does not
movie.
exist.
I'm determined to investigate.
Found footage. It could be the next Blair
No,
Witch.
never ever
Totally
found.
open to all of
Never
this.
ever found footage of that.
Would you guys rather watch Collider Video Home movies, or would you rather watch a Mandalorian movie? That's the question right now. So there was a Variety Business Managers Breakfast, and Alan Horn was there, and he spoke about a bunch of things, and one of the quotes pertains to the possibility of us getting a Mandalorian movie, even though only one episode is available right now. Here's that specific quote. The Mandalorian is already proving to be a big thing, so if that series proves to be so compelling that we reverse engineer it into a theatrical release, a 2-hour film or whatever, okay. So do you take this as kind of a casual thing he just threw out there, or could this be something they're actually thinking about doing?
Well, I mean, when the head of Disney Studios is like, "We'll make a 2-hour movie or whatever."
I love the word whatever.
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
just like because that to me it just like sums up Disney's influence and power right now. They're like, if we want to make another Star Wars movie that day, sure, we'll throw some money at it. And it didn't sound like a serious plan, but I don't like the mindset of it because it's like. It's the whole thing where the idea dictates the movie instead of someone writing a Mandalorian movie and then being like, "This is good, we'll make this." They're like, if we get the viewers, we'll look into. That's how you get Solo. That's how Solo happens. Someone says Han Solo prequel, and they're like, "Sure, we could make that happen."
I feel like one of the most alarming terms in this quote was reverse engineer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's never a good approach to a piece of content, especially something in the storytelling realm.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second because I actually find it like when you hear about movies going to Disney Plus that were like Avengers characters or that, it is less exciting to me than actually the prospect of something that you fall in love with watching streaming and then having like a big event movie. I kind of get excited about that prospect. And him saying or whatever, I don't think he's casually throwing anything out, because we know unless they're really serious about something, they don't really say it. I think he means what he says. And I think it's probably something they've thought about from the beginning. But I think if it's as good, I mean, I've seen the first episode, I loved it. I think if it's as good as it looks and continues to be as good, I think the ideas are going to be there. I don't think Jon Favreau is going to run out of ideas anytime soon. And I think I'm excited about that prospect.
I mean, I wish I could have heard him deliver this line so I knew if it was, meant in a somewhat flippant way. But from a business standpoint, it does make a lot of sense, because we've talked about this a lot after Last Jedi. I mean, who knows what happens with Rise of Skywalker? For all I know, it could reinvigorate the fan base and bring everybody back together, and all of a sudden we're all high on Star Wars again. But I've been saying they got to find or re-find a foundation, and if Mandalorian proves to be just that, it would potentially be a smart investment if, not even necessarily the main character, the Mandalorian, getting his own movie, but maybe a spin-off or something like that, because once you get people hooked and invested through a series, there's like a very specific kind of dedication that you don't have when you're just making a one-off movie to start something new, like a series. And when you described what you just did, it makes me think of Downton Abbey and how much I adored that, and how that felt like a really special event, having at least in my case watched one season of the show before having seen the movie, but seeing all those characters on the big screen together, there was something inherently exciting about that happening.
And what you said, that word event, that's what it becomes. And the only example I could think of was Sex and the City, when it became a movie, and it was
Sex and the City, Downton Abbey, and Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That's the trilogy.
But they had such a fan base built in. So when the movie did happen, I mean, think about how people went, they dressed up. It was like a big thing. Like, I think it's a smart strategy on their part, getting people invested on that level and then going in the reverse direction.
I just definitely don't think there was enough. I just think we're at a weird point to even have this conversation, because I don't think there was enough in that first episode of The Mandalorian for me to even see what like an extension of that would be. I mean, it would just basically be another Star Wars movie. I can't really see that turning into like you said, an event, because this kind of already feels like it is the event. You know what I mean? Like they put all this money into this show, and it's basically just an 8-hour Star Wars movie. That to then be like, all right, here's a Mandalorian movie. It's kind of like, well, we already kind of saw a Mandalorian movie. It was an 8-hour movie, and it's all. We already got that. I just don't know what how you could turn this TV show into something that isn't just the TV show, but a little shorter.
Are you allowed to say what you thought of episodes
I am,
2 and 3?
I think.
I mean, I did see
if not,
social
a lot of
media,
people are breaking an embargo.
Social
right now.
media reactions,
yeah,
at least.
This is social media, but this counts. So I've seen the first 3 episodes, and while it is really cool, the show is cool. Like, it's objectively like throughout the show, it doesn't feel like a TV show. It doesn't. These feel like chunks of a movie that have credits randomly thrown in, and I feel like the idea for The Mandalorian is already being stretched into a TV show. And for them to be like, sure, we'll turn this into it's not like saying we'll turn Downton Abbey or Sex and the City into a movie, because those were very much a TV show. That was their thing. The Mandalorian, at least the first 3 episodes, feels like the first act of a movie. So I think to then be like, all right, we'll turn that into a movie. Like, we're already getting the movie. This is the Mandalorian movie to me. That's just how I felt.
This is me taking like a big leap forward, but one of the things that I've always said is how much I am intrigued by Mandalorian culture. So even just having a whole series about that, because you don't necessarily need this Mandalorian. You could have that Mandalorian and explore somebody else's experience with that kind of stuff in their life.
I actually think a more interesting continuation is that. I think this show would have been better as kind of like a procedural, like a not just one long story. Because like you said, I'm interested in the Mandalorian and everything surrounding the Mandalorian in terms of Mandalorians. I just said Mandalorians a lot, and I'm glad I got through it. But it doesn't really service a like a franchise or a thing, because it's, you have the man behind the mask, and it's not really someone that you can follow through one big franchise. I kind of like the idea of following the culture and the bounties, and going from planet to planet collecting these bounties.
Nikki, if you could greenlight the next idea for a Star Wars film, because we know they're taking a little bit of a hiatus. The next thing we know about could be the Kevin Feige movie. What would you want the film franchise to do? Whether it's giving us a Mandalorian movie at this point, and I know it's early to say something like that, or going in a completely different direction.
I mean, it's, like you said, it's hard to say what I would prefer. I think you've seen 3 episodes. I think if I had seen 3 episodes, I could sort of make that judgment call. Based on the first episode I saw, I thought it kind of excited me because it was what Jon Favreau said. It was like inspired by Westerns and samurai, but then there also was obviously grounded in Star Wars. So that to me felt very nostalgic, but very fresh. So I was really intrigued to see more. And then in terms of the Kevin Feige thing, I don't know. Choosing between the two is like choosing children. It would be hard to choose at this point. And without having seen The Rise of Skywalker and knowing sort of how that goes. Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head,
how that pans out.
Right. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say the Feige would be slightly more intriguing, just because of his track record and seeing what he's going to do with the franchise.
I want a McClunky origin story. I don't know if you guys saw McClunky. Have you seen McClunky?
I'm aware of McClunky.
I want a 3-film franchise that explains to me why he says McClunky.
I feel like you could
before getting
have
shot in the face.
like a full feature-length documentary about
McClunky,
the alterations made to that scene.
McClunky origins or something like that. That is Disney Plus came out, and it has the most amazing library of content I've ever seen in my life. But I was just like, McClunky. Like I spent like the whole launch day just like I was like watching it over and over again. I was just like, McClunky. Like I took pages of notes on McClunky. That was my Disney Plus launch day. I don't know what everyone else watched the first day. I watched that scene over and over again.
It might have been one of the high priority articles of the day.
100%.
That's without a doubt. So as we know, it's not just Star Wars over at Disney. They basically own a significant chunk of the entertainment industry right now. And Alan Horn addressed that as well. We've got 2 quotes for you on that topic. He said, "We do have an outsized share of the market for sure. That's because people get up, go to the theater, pay their money, and watch our movies." He also said, "I think for me, I can't apologize for the collective market share we enjoy. I know we enjoy a huge segment of the market share available, but I don't want to apologize for it. I think our films are very different from one another, but it's fair to say, gee whiz, these guys and ladies enjoy a very hefty percentage of the box office, but that falls outside of my job description. My job is to shepherd the making of these movies as best I can."
Gee whiz.
Yeah, it's addressing it, but not addressing it, but with a comment of value, I guess.
I respect the honesty, because I feel like my least favorite Disney is them being like denying the fact. They're like, we want to make the movie industry again, while like actively destroying the movie industry. Like I prefer Disney when they're like, listen, we own everything. Like, what do you want us to do? Which is kind of what he's said. He's like, listen, it's not my job to worry about that. I'm just making these movies. And I don't enjoy the quote. I don't like the quote, but I prefer when Disney isn't like pretending that they don't own every major franchise that exists.
I mean, I wouldn't prefer that either, but
I prefer that they didn't own the movie industry.
Really, any prepared quote that you could give, like it doesn't go to the core of what their goals are with everything they own right now. But if I am to get like a newsy fluff quote, I'd rather it be like, yes, we own most of the industry, but we are going to take these resources and the abilities and the people and the franchises we have, and we're going to do something good with it. We're going to, give opportunities to filmmakers who didn't have it before. We're going to tell you more unique kinds of stories that you've never seen under the Disney umbrella. It's just like, that seems to me to be the obvious quote to respond to a question like this.
He did actually. I was reading the whole Variety article, and he did talk about the Fox thing. Did you read any of that?
What part of the Fox thing?
He sort of said, that's still our goal, is to not have Fox become Disney-esque. We still want them to make R-rated movies, Oscar bait movies, like their own thing. That's still our mission, is to have them not sort of fall under our umbrella and have them keep doing what they're doing.
Just be a separate arm within the Disney family.
Exactly.
Which, assuming that happens,
that's what I mean. Like I like to hear that. That's nice of him to say, but I hope it's true.
I think the disconnect there right now is the fact that, and you know, it might not even be fair to judge them from this perspective, but all of the most of the films that have hit theaters this year that were made by Fox and distributed by Disney, you know, not only were a little disappointing, but they also underperformed, and they felt like afterthoughts.
And
I mean,
he talked about that
change
too
this weekend though with Ford v Ferrari.
Right. I have high hopes for that movie. I really hope it does well because it's good and deserves to do well. But he did address that too. He did blatantly say we had some Fox disappointments earlier this year. He didn't like sweep it under the rug. He said sometimes you just can't judge ahead of time what audiences are going to want to see in the theater, and you take the good with the bad kind of thing. So I mean, I appreciate that he's being very forthright with, look, like you said, this is what do you want me to do? It's not my job to worry about everybody else. I just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't have. It's like somebody, I think on Collider, when they wrote the article, gave the analogy of like a LeBron. Like, do you want LeBron to apologize for, you know, he's not going to like give others a shot and toss the ball over to them and say, here, take a shot.
It would sound dishonest and disingenuous if he was like, if someone was like, what's it like to own all of Hollywood? And someone at Disney was like, I don't know if that's true. Like, you know, there's plenty of room in Hollywood. It's like, check the numbers, Alan. Like that would have been disappointing. So on some level, I'm happy. I'm not happy about it, but I'm glad that there's no conversation going on, because I don't enjoy when Disney is painted as the underdog in any way, shape, or form, or when everyone needs to defend Disney against something. I'm glad that they're like, listen, we own so much stuff and we make so much money. That I prefer them to at least say that.
I'm just eager for the time to come when we see the future of the company, you know, come into like formation a little more. Because it's not only was this the year of the Fox merger, but now we have Disney Plus too. It's like when you even just isolate it to the Star Wars film franchise, we don't even know where that's really heading with film versus streaming. So I imagine they're still figuring out a lot of stuff. And for all I know, maybe they do have ideas like the Mandalorian movie really on the table, because it seems like they have to put out all their cards right now and try to like shuffle them around and see where they all fit properly. So I hope they're doing that. And I just hope they're doing that with just like the little nugget of an idea in the back of their minds that they have the biggest microphone and they are going to like wield it and speak into it well and, you know, serve the industry better overall. Right now, fingers crossed. I like to stay hopeful until somebody proves me wrong. So next up here, we have a very cool exclusive from the fine folks at Fandango. So they do a whole bunch of surveys, and one we're going to talk about right now is a survey they did with more than 1,000 millennial moviegoers over the last month. And what they did was they asked them which films and performances they're most looking forward to in the releases that are hitting theaters between November 22nd and December 31st. We're going to run down the list right now. I want to know if these align with what you guys think, which one you're most excited to see crack the list, and if you want to throw another title in the mix here. So we're going to start off with the big one, the most anticipated holiday movie. You've got Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Frozen 2, Jumanji: The Next Level, Knives Out, and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. What a diverse bunch right there. I'm actually very excited to see the fact that they're all different.
So was Cats just not on the survey, or?
I was disappointed.
So
Cats didn't
was that
make the
just
top
not an
5.
option? Like, what happened? Was there a data problem? How did Cats not?
That's what's interesting, because it was a survey, and everybody knows I'm with Fandango. Maybe not everybody, but I am. But it was a survey of millennials. So it was surprising to me, given that like Taylor Swift and that is in Cats, that it didn't crack the top 5. What really excited me was that Knives Out made the list.
Yes. That was very happy to see that, because I'm like worried about Knives Out. It's like I'm like protective of Knives. I'm like I want that movie to do really well, and I didn't know how on people's radar it was. So I was so happy to see it on the survey.
You know, bringing up the millennial thing though, then it's even more interesting that doesn't get on, but A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood does. Because I think it's some of the older moviegoers out there who might be a little more familiar with Mr. Rogers and maybe even turn out for a Tom Hanks movie.
Right. No, I thought that was surprising to me too, that it made, I mean, it deserves to be in the top 5, but yeah, just given that word millennials, it's exciting to me.
I feel like Mr. Rogers found like a second life like in the memes, like on the internet. Like I feel like Mr. Rogers, like even kids that like maybe didn't even watch Mr. Rogers, they just see like the on like Imager or like Tumblr or something, they see like and they're like, I loved Mr. Rogers too, even if they didn't really watch. Like I feel like he found a second life on the internet, and so he's almost become like he himself has almost become like a meme, and people, and so like kids that didn't even watch Mr. Rogers kind of are like, I'm interested in this Mr. Rogers movie. I feel like that doesn't really surprise me.
Are old episodes of the show available anywhere? That seems like the perfect thing for some sort of, like a streaming service with a learning arm to pick up and just
I don't know.
I don't know where you would watch
binge
Mr. Rogers. Is it on Disney Plus? Probably.
Plus, they've been really smart in marketing the movie. And I mean, casting Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And, just seeing that imagery, even from earlier in the year when they released like the first photos of him sitting on, on the steps in the cardigan. And yeah, like you said, like people who might not have grown up with it, millennials might not have grown up with it, but it's like he's become a symbol.
Yeah. And where was that the documentary that just came out?
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yeah, I feel like that was a big deal, and people. I feel like people that the timing of that was perfect. I don't know. I'm not surprised that people are interested in.
Well, this isn't going to surprise you either, because under most anticipated actor, you have Tom Hanks, of course, for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Dwayne Johnson for Jumanji: The Next Level, Adam Driver for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Chris Evans and Daniel Craig for Knives Out. Vinny, that sounds like your dream come true.
Yeah, I would hang out with that crew. I'd just add Idris Elba from Cats, and then we got a stew cooking.
I think one of the most exciting things about seeing these two names in particular on the list for Knives Out is that all of these people who were really looking forward to seeing these two guys in the movie, their expectations are going to be so far exceeded.
Yeah, that was actually like my favorite part of seeing Knives Out, because I was like, oh, did the trailer give away too much, and did it have all the best parts?
Right.
And I was no, honestly, the lines in the trailer aren't even. You don't remember those lines because the movie has it's just quips.
It's so dense.
Quips.
It's so dense, the movie of dialogue in that. But yeah, I mean, Daniel Craig's accent is stuff of legends.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans in particular, like they look to me like they're having the time of their life.
I'm not even a big. I wasn't even a big Daniel Craig fan before this movie. Like I'm not a huge James Bond guy, and that's really the only thing that he's been in for the past 10 years.
Dream House.
And
no
Dream
one ever
House.
Needs to revisit that movie.
I'm not a big Dreamhouse guy either, but yeah, he blew me away. He's so good. He's so fun, and like you say, it looks like he's having the time of his life.
Well, because both of them are coming off these big franchises. They've been doing these movies for so many years, and sort of their big first foray into just doing something completely fun. It felt to me watching it, you felt not just with the two of them, but how much fun the whole cast was having. I felt joy watching it. You could tell there was no stress. It was a passion project for Ryan, and it was just, and I had heard, I didn't see it till last week. I know a lot of people saw it at TIFF. And usually when something's so overhyped, I'm always disappointed. And it completely exceeded my expectations.
There's something about the energy of the movie too. It really never misses a beat. So it's like you're having fun watching all of these actors having a blast, but you get so caught up in it so quickly, and it's almost like you get tenser and tenser and tenser looking for the answer until the movie finally ends, and you're like whoa, because it's not a short movie either. And I was surprised how fast it all flew by.
Ryan Johnson, he said it came together. The movie itself came together in like 6 weeks. Like he wrote the screenplay in January of 2018, and then was filming like 6 months later. And you can kind of like tell. You can tell that he like gathered this amazing cast, and they were like hyped to do it. I think Daniel Craig was the first to sign on, and then it was like Michael Shannon, and then it was like a snowball of incredible actors. And you just get that sense that like everyone really wanted to do this movie.
It felt like lightning in a bottle. Like when you just get the right cast together, the right time with the right script, the right director. Are you guys surprised, by the way, that Adam Driver was number 3 on the list and Tom Hanks was number 1?
I was surprised that Adam Driver, like going into this Star Wars trilogy, I would not have been like, Adam Driver will be the breakout performer. Not to say that Adam Driver hasn't always been like a fantastic actor, but I wasn't expecting the youth to catch on to Adam Driver.
Those youngsters.
He didn't strike me as like the breakout like fan favorite, and it is surprising that people of all the characters, because there's so many new characters in this new trilogy, of all the characters, for them to be like, I can't wait to see what Kylo Ren does.
Well, bringing that up too, it's interesting to look at the actress category where you've got Daisy Ridley, then Carrie Fisher, and then after the two of them, you got Margot Robbie, Karen Gillan, and Charlize Theron. So clearly in that one, Star Wars did get most of the love, which doesn't really surprise me, especially with the way that they've been positioning Rey in particular from day one.
Yeah, and she really is the star of the movie. And then, of course, Carrie Fisher. People want to see what happens.
Are you surprised to see Bombshell in the mix? Like, is it just about their names, or is it more about the movie?
I feel like in that. Were you surprised?
Just because it's like I don't know. Is that? Do you think a survey of millennials are really into what's going on at Fox News?
No, I think it's Margot.
Yeah,
I think it's all Margot. She's such a star.
Too.
She's like the biggest star in the world right now, arguably female star. I feel like
That's
between
fair.
that and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she's just on the rise. I just
Birds
feel
of
like
Prey coming out.
people seek her out in general. I don't know if
guess
it's the
so.
movie. Yeah.
I mean, I think that millennials are interested in the actual material, because I feel like whether you say you're into politics or not, we're just at a point where like it seeps into your life no matter what you do and no matter where your interest lies. So maybe there is an increased interest in that specific topic right now.
And I feel like the marketing of that movie, they haven't necessarily leaned too heavily into this whole controversy. I mean, when you really think about what they've pushed, it's that shot in the elevator of the three lead actresses, Nicole Kidman. And that's a powerful image
Smart move.
of seeing the three of them together. And it sort of intrigues you, like, what is this? And you sort of know what it's about, but it doesn't sort of hit you over the head with what it's about. It just puts it out there. And
and I say millennials like I'm not 27 years old. It's like I don't want to demean my people. They can be interested. It's just, I was just surprised to see like that among Star Wars. It was like I didn't think there was a huge interest in Bombshell. Outside of how cool it is to see those actors in those roles.
I will say, I think one of the things that movie really has going for it is the fact that it taps into, a lot of very real, interesting things that should be discussed, but it puts it in a very entertaining package. I feel like something about the way the movie is constructed, and again, I'll bring back the word energy, because that is a high energy movie.
Yeah.
I just feel like they put all that together in a very digestible, entertaining way, which, probably speaks to a little bit about why Bombshell is on the list, but could also then propel it through, probably December and maybe even into award season once it actually hits theaters.
is there anybody not on the list you guys are surprised?
Not on the list.
Taylor Swift, Jennifer Hudson.
Well, the second I saw that first category and there was no cats, I figured. We do have a little cats love later,
Whenever
though.
I discuss cats, it's like half joking and half like deadly serious. like I am so excited for cats.
See, but the half joking thing, I still think could pave the way to a very big opening weekend.
I was very surprised not to see cats represented like at all. Like I think it ended up on one thing.
We've got Francesca Hayward in the mix for Rising Movie Star. I think that's one of my favorite categories on this list. That's
interesting. Yeah. But Taylor Swift not being on there, very interesting. The entire movie not being on there, Jennifer Hudson not being on there. The exclusion of cats, I think, was the only thing I was surprised about.
Well, let's get into this Rising Movie Star category because, again, this is just one that really excites me. Probably no surprise, we have a Rise of Skywalker cast member at the top, Naomi Ackie. Then it's Ana de Armas for Knives Out, Jodie Turner-Smith for Queen and Slim, Susan, I will butcher your name, Susan Kelechi Watson from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Francesca Hayward for Cats. We were just talking about it before because I had just seen Queen and Slim, and I'll just jump ahead a little bit too because there's also most anticipated pairing, and one is Jodie Turner-Smith and Daniel Kaluuya, and you are, that's another one. If you're excited for that pairing, wait until you see what they do together in that movie. They have such a unique type of charisma as individuals. They have so much chemistry together, but their whole thing doesn't necessarily, their relationship together doesn't necessarily play out in a way that anybody might expect. There are so many little nuances to their performance that I was locked into the two of them from start to finish in that movie. And I think that movie is also just incredibly well done.
I've seen it too. It's incredibly well done. Daniel Kaluuya, to me, remains one of the most fascinating people to watch on screen.
Oh, yeah. He is something else.
He's so unpredictable. You just don't, he never overacts. He's so calm and in his body. He just exists on camera, and there's no pushing. He's just so utterly talented. And she matches him.
Yeah.
I mean, she really,
in a very different way.
Yeah.
I don't know what why I went into it with certain expectations, but there's something about her poise and how she carries herself that I was I was kind of like fascinated by.
Well, I also didn't know where this, I don't know if you've seen it or not,
I
but I
have
didn't know
not
where this
seen it.
movie was going. Like, it was very unpredictable in what was going to happen in the film. And it was like I was completely, like, in the same way as Knives Out, completely glued.
Yeah.
And that's what I like seeing, is these movies that I go into them knowing really nothing about them and being so pleasantly surprised.
Speaking of Knives Out, Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she was actually. That was like my most like yes moment reading this list, because my favorite thing about the Knives Out marketing is it doesn't prepare you for her. Like it unsurprisingly puts the focus on this cast, and you go into the movie and you don't really know that she's the main character, and she is just so good.
Have you seen the billboards that have, like, the billboards literally just went up, and every single time I'm driving, I'm distracted because I'm staring at it. Have you seen the one for that?
I have not.
So it's got the whole family, and she's kind of positioned in the back. And, you know,
that's
of course,
perfect.
that's where she should be from a story perspective, but it's like family, and then she's got like a little head in the background.
Yeah, and I had no idea how prominent she featured in the movie, and to me that made her role better, because that's I don't want to spoil anything, but like that is like the theme and the message of the movie is her in relation to this family.
With her, so I'm happy to see her on Rising Movie Star on this list here. She should have been on this list long ago.
She should be on the female star, like
instead
of a rising star.
I know nobody saw the name is escaping me now.
See?
With
I know what you mean.
Keanu Reeves, starts with a K,
Yeah.
directed by Eli Roth.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
Oh my God.
What?
Like, I literally was just looking up. All right. It has gone out of my head. I will get it back at some point. But not even just that. She was also in Hands of Stone. And I thought that was a movie that flew way too low under the radar. And her performance in that in particular really stood out to me, and nobody saw it.
I didn't even see either of those movies. But a movie with Keanu
I keep wanting
Reeves?
to call it like Knocked Up right now, and it's obviously
Knocked
not
Up,
bad.
Knives Out.
Can I look it
I'm
up for
determined to think about it without looking
Keanu
it up,
Reeves?
which
It's her, Keanu
doesn't
Reeves?
serve
I'm gonna
the
look it up.
episode and the viewing very well. It's like
Directed by Eli Roth.
a horror-ish movie, very, very small. It definitely begins with a K.
Are you
almost
just
there,
thinking of
Nikki?
Knives Out?
it
I
up.
could be. It could be right
Knocked
now.
Up, Knives Out.
Well,
Keanu Reeves.
while we get the answer to that, we do have to hit. I want to read off actually the full pairing category here. At the top of the list, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, of course, for Jumanji, Tom Hanks and Matthew Rhys for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet, our first Little Women name drop here. Then we also have our first Just Mercy name drop for Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, and then, of course, Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith for Queen and Slim. Are you guys surprised, speaking of star power and millennials, I guess, are you surprised that Little Women didn't get more love on this?
I think Little Women is riding so much under the radar right now. Like I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. I haven't seen it, but I know people have seen it, and like no one I've talked to hasn't been like blown away by it. But it's just not in the pop culture consciousness. It's which is strange, because the cast is so fresh-faced and talented, and it's a property that people know. I'm not saying that Little Women is like this huge franchise property, but we all read it in high school. We know the title, and it's strange how, to me, it almost feels like this movie's not coming out for like another year, but it's coming out
I think
very
it's
soon.
because so few people have seen it. Have you seen it?
I have
Because I know
seen
there
it.
was one screening.
I did see it, and I'm in love with this movie.
Okay.
It blew me away.
So here's my question. If it's not getting love on a list like this right now, do you think Greta Gerwig, I guess, in a sense, modernized the material enough to kind of capture a whole new viewership that maybe isn't already into Little Women?
I feel like the cast and the performances, the movie has, and I don't want to say too much, but the movie has a pace to it. It doesn't feel sort of slow and like that typical period film. It has a pace to it, almost like a Knives Out, where it moves.
That's interesting.
It really moves.
Not what I was picturing.
And I think that's how she modernized it. And I think the female characters, although the dialogue is quite traditional, there are certain elements, but seeing those two on that list together, Timothée Chalamet, I know he's popular with millennials. I'm surprised that he might not even have been higher on this list with her, Saoirse. But Timothée Chalamet just is extraordinary in this movie. He just blows my mind. He's just so good.
I can't wait
They're
to see
all
him in.
so good. I mean, Saoirse's incredible. Timothy's incredible.
I'm a little surprised that Florence Pugh wasn't a rising star.
I'm surprised too. And she, after seeing this movie, I think should be nominated for supporting.
Ooh.
That's interesting. She's been so good so consistently recently that it's like I want more people to know about. Like I feel like she's been killing it in things that people that are kind of a little niche. Like she was in that wrestling movie
Fighting with My
Fighting
Family.
with My Family.
I knew that one.
She's
And I actually know the other one, and there's a reason I kept saying Knocked Up. It's because the damn movie's called Knock Knock.
Oh,
You just saw it?
I looked it up. I cheated. I looked it up.
Knock
It was driving me
Knock.
nuts. I was never going to be able to carry on a proper
Keanu Reeves
conversation.
in Knock Knock. I don't. When
It
did
was
that
it was
come
like a super limited release. I feel like it came out like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe less than that.
That's
but
a great cast.
If you really want to watch, like Keanu Reeves go all out in a role, like that is
do.
just
I very
that's
much
like a
do wanna
messed up,
watch. Wow.
fascinating, very entertaining scenario.
But completely forgot what we were talking. Oh,
It's because we brought up Keanu Reeves. You turned your brain to mush.
You melted my
He
brain
sure
with the power of Keanu Reeves. Florence Pugh. I would like more people to watch her act.
I
That was my point.
I think after this movie, because her performance is really bold and she steals every scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a completely unapologetic role. So I
Does
think
not
after this,
surprise
she's
me.
really gonna pop.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see it. I think I see it next week. I hope I see it next week. I'm
it's
eager
Monday,
to.
the screening,
Speaking of Little Women too, it did make it onto another list here. Most anticipated ensemble: Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Jumanji: The Next Level, Knives Out, Little Women, and Bombshell. I do want to hit one other thing that Fandango told us about, because this is really cool. We've been talking a lot this week about Disney Plus. There's certain titles that are not available on Disney Plus that you might want to watch. And also with the upcoming holidays, it's a big deal for my family to all go together over Thanksgiving and to see a movie. And we've got great options: Frozen 2, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, there's 21 Bridges, Knives Out, Queen and Slim. But if you are the kind of family who wants to stay home, there are a whole bunch of other great options. I might have already name dropped one of them, which is Downton Abbey. Seriously, if you haven't seen Downton Abbey, I don't care if you've seen the show or not, that movie is a delight.
I can't believe
It
it.
is the grumpiest face on right now, and I don't like it.
It's to me, that show is like the show where I go home and my parents are like, you gotta watch Downton Abbey, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch Downton Abbey, Dad. Like,
Vinnie, I challenge you, okay?
To watch.
So on Fandango now for Thanksgiving week, digital debuts, Downton Abbey will be available. I will gift it to you. I will gift it to you.
I remember the trailer for the movie. I don't even remember what movie I went to go see, but the trailer for Downton Abbey came up, and it was like the entire theater was so filled with sensible chuckles. People are just like, like
Sensible chuckles is the phrase of the day.
Every single line in the trailer, there was like 20 people behind me that were just like. That was like the soundtrack of the Downton Abbey movie, and I was just like, that to me just summed up Downton Abbey to me. It's just people that are just like watching
just want
it.
you
Nothing's
to
happening.
describe
It's
movie
like,
chuckles from now
like,
on.
Nothing
Oh my
is happening in the
gosh.
movie. People are just like, oh, it's
Oh, lovely. Let's have some tea as we chuckle sensibly.
I've never heard that show described any other way than like, it's lovely, it's delightful. It's like a warm bath, that show. And I'm just
Keep
like,
an open mind.
I do. I will
Everybody
watch
needs a
it.
sensible chuckle in their life,
Yeah,
and I feel like
don't
you might
think-
enjoy it.
I don't think I have enough sensible chuckles in my
So-
life. All my chuckles are just wild and out of control. I could use a sensible
If
chuckle.
Downton Abbey, I don't know how to do this proper phrase, but like if Downton Abbey is to sensible chuckles as Ready or Not is to what kind of chuckles? I feel like that's like not chuckles. That's like wild
nervous,
riot, like cheer at the screen kind of watch,
nervous.
because that's also available on November 26th.
Interesting.
They have a great list here: Downton Abbey, Hustlers, Ready or Not, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All well worth a watch.
Thank you for
That's a
doing
good
all
list.
that for me, by the way. Thank you for saying all that. I'm going to add one tiny little plug, is
Yes,
that
please.
we're one of the only streaming services that you don't have to pay for a subscription. It's a la carte. So if you want to just purchase one or rent one, it's there. But yeah, it's a good list. It's a really good list.
Yeah,
for me this weekend.
Ready or
I was gonna
Not
say, you
in
said Ready or Not is on
particular
there?
has me very, very excited.
Yeah.
I wanted that
Please.
movie to make even more than it did opening weekend, but I also feel like this is one of those kinds of movies that is going to have a second life available at home. It is. If you like genre material like that, it is the definition of a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Crawl, as far as horror movies go, are probably the best times I've had in the theater all year.
Crawl was great. I
Yes.
loved Crawl. Yeah.
Crawl is like high up on my my favorite movies of the year list, and I don't know how it'll play if I'm just watching it alone. But in the theater, it was like one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason why a movie might end up on my top 10 of the year. If I have like a really memorable experience watching it, or a memorable experience thinking about a little something after it, that's what makes something unforgettable.
I'll never forget watching Us, like opening night, and it was packed theater. People were going nuts, and I was like, this is objectively one of my favorite movies of the year. And then I went to go see Us with someone else like a few weeks later, and it was like a matinee and middle of the day, and I liked it so significantly less because it just didn't play like it did with the massive crowd. I still really like Us, but I remember when I saw it in a packed theater, I was like, this is gonna end up like my number one of the year, and it's only like March.
I had that experience with A Quiet Place too. I think that's one of those movies where you go. I went with, I was at a packed house, and it was like everybody. Anytime anybody rustled anything, people were just like giving them the stink eye, and it was just I mean, those are the experiences you remember. Knives Out was the same. The crowd went nuts watching that.
I don't know. I had the opposite reaction to Us in particular. Not the opposite, but I really enjoyed watching it with a crowd. But then I almost appreciated being able to, like, I just got my award screener in the mail, quietly be able to watch it on my own and pick up all these little details. And I mean, that's part of the reason why this is my favorite time of year, to re-experience movies that I love, but also to get physical copies of the script in my hand. It's like I'm thinking about that with Us, which I've already started paging through, and also A Quiet Place. If you have not read your A Quiet Place script, check it out. It's a fascinating read after seeing the movie. I do want to save a little time to get into this other thing. I'm going to do this plug for you because I think it's super cool. So they have a whole bunch of new releases becoming available on the 26th of November. But actually tomorrow, they're going to debut Quentin Tarantino's the movies that inspired him in honor of the release of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And you could watch a whole list of movies. I think it's just 99 cents. And he's got on his list like The Wrecking Crew, Getting Straight, Cactus Flower, Model Shop. There's more on there, but I'm just very into filmmaker curated lists lately.
Yes.
I think HBO Max put the bug in my head. I'm very curious to see how that pans out. So whenever I see a recommended list from a filmmaker where I like their work, like I am immediately going to go right there and watch something.
Especially him, and when he puts out that list of what inspired that film, and knowing that you could stream it the week later, and 99 cents is cool. And I think there's 10 on the list. There could be more. But
I feel like when he says that it inspired the movie, it's not like he's not BSing. Like like with him, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is vaguely like I was inspired by this. With him, it's like that stuff. If you watch those movies, it'll make you like appreciate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood more genuinely.
And if we're going back to the very first topic we talked about today, our little like what would be our vignette. Cactus Flower is on that list, I think.
Yeah.
That was the first scene I ever did in an acting class.
Really?
Flower, yeah. It was a dismal mess, but it was fun.
That's fascinating, actually. Did you ever reenact a scene from a movie? I feel like...
Did I ever reenact a scene from a movie?
I didn't act in one, but at one point in film school in our directing class, we had to do one of our favorite scenes from a movie, but only do it in a oneer. So I did the third act kitchen scene in Scream. And so I think I've told this maybe on the Witching Hour before, but because there's blood involved, it's like I had blood smears all over my New York City apartment for a very, very long time because like fake blood's very difficult to clean up. But it was still great.
I know
I'm very
that from
proud of that.
Halloween and my Halloween costume.
I'm pretty sure we remade Rocky for we didn't remake the entirety of Rocky. That would cost much more money. For like a high school project, it was like it was like barely associated with what the project actually was, but we like did a full like 10-minute little short film that was just basically Rocky. And I think my part was there was like a montage of my very large friend like killing people in the ring, and I was every person that got killed in the ring. So I would just put on like a different hat and they would show me get killed in the ring, and I don't know what happened to that.
Sensible chuckles watching that movie.
No, that was I think we got an A, even though it didn't follow the guideline. I don't think it was like a video project. We were just like, we made this, and they were like,
with
thank
that
you.
description, like you didn't do yourself any favors with not wanting the Collider Home Video Film Festival to
one
happen.
I might show. I'm kind of proud of that one. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
I would like to see that.
Is the production value wasn't what you'd want to show, but it was one of those like handheld camera. Oh man.
While you guys wait for us to find all this wonderful footage, we have so much content to keep you busy on the Collider Video YouTube channel, like this show.
Well, hello there. I'm Ken Knapsack, one of the hosts of Collider Jedi Council, and I'd like to invite you to listen to our show, watch our show. It's on every Thursdays on the Collider video channel, and it's also available in podcast form if you'd like to listen to our sweet voices on Collider Jedi Council, me, Christian Harloff, and a bevy of guests, I say, talk Star Wars. We celebrate Star Wars. We dig into the Star Wars news. We speculate everything about Star Wars, including your questions. So join us on Collider Jedi Council. You're going to have a great time.
All right, we don't have much time left, but I want to hit these 3 trailers, and I do want to squeeze in one live chat question before we say goodbye. So the 3 new trailers that dropped this morning, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, The Way Back with Ben Affleck, and then also Michael Bay's 6 Underground. You guys both watched all 3 trailers. What is the top priority after checking them out?
I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed the Ben Affleck. I want to call it, because the movie used to be called The Has Been, which is such a depressing title. I think it's called the Way Back.
I keep wanting, like, why do I want to say The Way Back? Is that another movie?
I think it is.
I'm thinking of The Way Back Machine, which is how I save all the
Peabody
articles
and
I
Sherman
lost.
too.
Yeah. I was really intrigued by that trailer. I think it looks like a really I don't want to say brave. Like it's really intriguing to me that Ben Affleck is digging into that because of all his personal issues. I feel like that's going to be one of the performances to watch when that movie comes out. That's going to be interesting. It was a very jarring experience to watch the SpongeBob trailer followed by that. I don't know if that colored my opinion of it. I don't know if it was just it stood out that much more. But yeah, that movie looks really intriguing, and I like what Ben Affleck is doing. And I'm glad it's not called.
This is a very weird batch of
It's a weird batch of trailers.
Mush together and
I went
try
from
to be
SpongeBob to alcoholic Ben Affleck to Michael Bay.
Blowing things up in Italy. I feel like I am a fan of all of them because of the fact that they were so wild and weird and different.
We're in for a
I was
time.
never a SpongeBob person, but I fully embraced this trailer and Keanu Reeves in it because this little thing they showed of Keanu Reeves in like this little hay bubble, and he looks like he didn't even He was sage bubble. He wasn't even out of his. He probably had still his pajamas on, and he just like he was fully like unshaven. He was just full Keanu, which
This is
I
like the year of
appreciated.
Keanu Reeves popping up in trailers.
Yeah.
He's just going to
And
be my
bless
maybe
him.
also.
And bless him
He's
for
going to keep it
He's-
going. And I
Good for
like
him.
I like the Ben Affleck just by the fact that it does seem like a very much a passion project for him and very personal. So I'm very curious to see him go really deep into the. But my favorite was the Michael Bay Ryan Reynolds.
I don't blame you. It's,
because it just looks. I'm like, wow, this is going to be Netflix. This is interesting because I would have gone to see this in theaters. I definitely would have seen this on the big screen. I kind of missed when I saw a few of the first explosions. I was like, wow, I really missed a Michael Bay explosion. Like he really does it better than anybody. And throwing Ryan Reynolds, and I love that the trailer opens up. You would think watching it on TV that it's an ad for some cheesy ad for like go visit Italy, and then of course it's got that Deadpool humor in it. So that was my choice. I thought that one.
The
Was
like the way they
Deadpool
packaged that.
writers
Yeah.
wrote it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think that'll. I'm glad it's on Netflix because that just seems like the perfect like it's Saturday afternoon or Saturday night. Like let me throw something on, and then you'll get like you instant access to a Michael
Didn't
Bay
they spend like a
blockbuster.
crazy amount of money on that? Though?
Probably.
I just don't. I don't
Netflix
understand
throws,
it.
but honestly,
Not that I'm not going to watch. I just don't understand it from a
firmly
business
believe
perspective.
If you're gonna throw money at something, give it to Michael Bay because he'll do something wacky with it. It might not be good, it might not be bad, but if you give Michael Bay Netflix money, he might genuinely blow up Italy.
I'm glad you guys touched on every single one because I was going to feel forced to bring up the one that was missed. So The Way Back is another movie, and it actually starred Saoirse Ronan, and it's very good.
Oh.
But even though I really like that one, I think you should watch it. I actually do have a lot of I love sports movies. I love underdog movies. I love a movie about someone getting a second chance and rising to the occasion. And the fact that Ben Affleck is starring in this, I think he has, well,
This is the funniest picture.
no, it is.
Like it's the worst before and after progression. of all time.
This is like after, on Instagram after your Snapchat filter versus
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
the
no, I feel
expression,
bad
not the
for him.
actors.
it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
So there's a reason why I'm going to pick this as my most anticipated of the bunch. With The Way Back, I am a little concerned that it might be a little formulaic as far as the story goes. Maybe it's going to surprise me. Who knows? And I don't have full faith in Michael Bay. And also, I feel like this trailer in particular felt a little more like a teaser trailer than a full trailer. So I'm not going to go all in on that until I see the full trailer. But I was not even a big SpongeBob fan growing up. I wasn't super into it. I think I missed it a little bit. That last movie was so much fun to cover. And the team that does all the voice work and has been doing all the voice work for, I guess, decades now. I don't know. I just applaud them. And this trailer was so amusing. You guys know I'm a huge, huge pet lover. So the whole Gary SpongeBob thing is something that I have a feeling is going to really appeal to me, just like Keanu Reeves' head in A Ball of Sage. So I think that movie, actually, that trailer has all of like the little things that need to get my butt in that seat to see that movie. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I was
really want to see it now.
Like that was my close second. I was pleasantly surprised by
and
how much
movies
fun.
do well too.
Yeah, the
Very
humor in it
well.
looked spot on. It looked fantastic.
All right, like I promised, one live chat question. Haven't looked at a single one. I'm so sorry, Dorian. Let's
No bread questions.
briefly.
No bread questions.
No. We haven't done bread. I feel like we peaked with bread when we showed on the Halloween episode Dewey Loaf, Dewey in his bread costume for Halloween.
Can't beat
And if we can't up it anymore, we just shouldn't go back into it. All right, I'm gonna go for a broad one. Seattle KO, what is your favorite Thanksgiving theme film? What is your favorite Thanksgiving theme films? Thanksgiving theme.
My
favorite Thanksgiving genre is horror
gonna say-
because there's no quicker way to get my whole family in the same room than to put on, just because I was talking about these recently, I always talk about Final Destination. That gets my whole family together always. And so does the movie The Ruins. If you haven't rewatched The Ruins in a while, you should. That's a great movie and my family loves it.
It's like Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Is that the one with the turkey?
I think so.
That's a absurd film. I like that movie. What's a Thanksgiving themed
like a
Can
film?
it be like Die Hard? Like, is it really a Christmas movie? Can it just be
can
around
be.
Thanksgiving?
What's the type of movie that will get your families together or your friends together? Just something all the people you want to spend your Thanksgiving with. What's a movie that kind of gets them?
It's so much easier to think of holiday movies than
I'm
Thanksgiving.
trying. My family.
The Family Stone. That's another one.
I
That's
thought of The
not
Family
horror,
Stone.
but that's another one
I'm
that my
trying to think
family
of like a
loves and always makes me
specifically
cry.
Thanksgiving themed movie.
I'm Googling it.
Is Meet the Parents Thanksgiving?
Christmas, right? Christmas or Little Fockers, or one of them is Christmas.
Okay. It's something that's the kind of stuff like my family they take Thanksgiving like really seriously, and to sit down and watch a movie would be like, they'd be like, no, there's no time to watch a movie. It would have to be something that's like broad and like a comedy and that they could dip in and out of. My family is Thanksgiving's a very stressful time for my family. They're just like, there's no time to watch an entire movie. So we don't have like a movie tradition. I do. I watch whatever's on Freeform at the time. It's probably a Harry Potter marathon.
There's a turkey scene in Meet the Parents, though, right?
I think Meet the Parents is Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
isn't
you
it?
might be right.
I'm gonna go with Meet the Parents.
I haven't revisited
whether
that
it's
in way
Thanksgiving
too
or
long,
not.
and I think I kind of blame
What
Little
was
Fockers.
the movie last year with Tiffany Haddish and Ike Barinholtz? Wasn't that a Thanksgiving movie? It was a very dark comedy. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not going to remember the title for the life of me.
Knock knock.
really dark.
I think it was called like
really
called,
dark.
like knock knock.
I know exactly what you're
Popped in my
talking
head, and I'm
about.
sure that was them getting together for Thanksgiving. I always watch Charlie Brown. I mean, that's pretty.
Well, yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's-
appropriate.
that's fair.
I feel like it is a thing where it's like it doesn't have to be a Thanksgiving movie because Thanksgiving, opens the door even wider to Christmas season and New Year's. So it's really whatever brings people together.
I feel like this year, if I bring something to my family, like last year, the one that everybody really loved watching together was Bohemian Rhapsody because it was. Everybody can kind of enjoy it, get into it. So maybe Rocket Man will be the choice this year.
Okay.
To me, just my whole life, I've always been like obnoxiously like it's Halloween all the time. So like the time between Halloween and Christmas, I'm always like, no, we're still watching horror movies. So I've never really had like a specific Halloween. I go from like Halloween weird middle part right into Christmas movies. I don't think I don't really have any movies that I associate with Thanksgiving.
The only movies I really do associate with Thanksgiving, just because my birthday always falls right around Thanksgiving, is just like whatever I make my birthday movie. And it's like my family didn't appreciate one year when I made it Anna Karenina. That made nobody happy, but
That
this
would've made
year,
me happy.
it's probably going to be Frozen 2.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Frozen 2 seems like a good family one. And then for a while, it was the Hunger Games movies. So I don't know. It's just like usually my recommendations never please the family, but I try.
But I think theater-wise, I think either the Mr. Rogers movie, Frozen 2, those are the ones that...
Cats.
You're really pushing the
film
cats.
Cats. Go see
the
Cats,
one right
December
now.
20th.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Enough theater
No better
video.
promo to end this show with. Go see Cats. I can't wait to have that conversation here.
I will be on every movie talk leading up to the release of Cats,
Please do.
whether I'm invited or
You're
not.
only allowed back until we get one of those videos.
Oh, God.
I'll take the Rocky one.
I'll try and find them. I'll dig through my parents' basement because
Rocky
they are,
one
they are on
or
tape.
your High School Musical,
High School Musical
Troy
debut.
Bolton days.
God, I was so good. I was so good. Why did I stop?
All right. Well, when we get that from you, you're welcome back to Movie Talk.
All right.
Nikki, you're welcome back whenever you
I'll
want.
see you
Thank you
then.
so much for being here today. Adam in the booth, Dorian in the live chat. Thanks for your help. As always, you guys should head on over to Collider Live right now because they actually have Alan Richson on the show today, which is super exciting. Please do not leave this episode of Movie Talk without liking and sharing it. We will be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. PT for Friday Fun Day. It'll be great. See you then.